Hakuo listeners, Let's Learn Sumo. I'm Clayton. Welcome to the Let's Learn Sumo podcast. You can join me on X or Instagram, even YouTube, where this is restreamed in audio. Sometimes there's a few video episodes. You can drop me a message. I really do enjoy people talking to me on those platforms, and I always answer the questions. Feel like my content, you can donate to my Kimboshi fund. Help me pay for a few of the subscriptions that keep the channel going. The Buy Me a Coffee link is in the comments, or you can just enjoy the podcast. Welcome all to day 3 of Hatsu Basho, the January Grand Sumo Tournament, live from Tokyo, the Kokugikan Stadium in Japan. Oh, look, I want to say we're settling into the tournament, but gee, it was a bit of a harrowing night tonight. Hoshoryu versus Yoshinofuji Yokozuna. He's only faced Yoshinofuji once and beat him with a deflecting hit in a big bear hug walkout in November. Look, I called Yoshinofuji back when he was Kasano, when he first came in. I called him a talent, and I said he had really good sumo fundamentals, and gee, he showed it tonight. Really good touchy eyes. Yoshinofuji drove forward. Hoshoryu lost that touchy eye. Yoshinofuji got himself a double inside body grip and drives Hoshoryu back. Hoshoryu lifted his arms and tried what Ayanishiki tried, which was going around the head of Yoshinofuji and pulling him over to the left, trying to Kubinage headlock throw him. You also see he was trying to lift his leg at the same time to lift Yoshinofuji to get that leverage on him. Yoshinofuji did get his leg tied up, but he untangled his leg from the lift, and that was the thing. It kept him down. He was able to lift and push Hoshoryu, who is now on one leg and off balance. Hoshoryu's right foot went onto the bales and then slipped over the bales as he tumbled into the alley. Yorite Oshi, another Kimboshi for Yoshinofuji to add to his wages and his retirement fund. That's his second, after he also took one from Yokozuna Onosato in November. That is impressive. Someone so young to have 2 Kimboshi. It's impressive, and also his previous win over Ayanishiki. I see big things in Yoshinofuji's future. Very impressive. So on to the controversial fight of the night, Onosato versus Ura. The last meeting, Ura gave it a pretty good go, tried for a leg pick, couldn't make it work. Tonight, well, it's all controversy. Big touchy eyes. Ura goes in low, but he missed the belt off the touchy eye. Onosato is trying to pull Ura down, but Ura just drives hard as Onosato goes backwards across the ring. He thrusts at Onosato. Onosato dodges to the side, and Ura is facing towards the edge of the ring. He's in a low position. Now, as Onosato charges in to try and take advantage, Ura stays low, turns, gets hold of Onosato by the knee. Ura goes in low, grabs that leg, pulls hard, and Onosato goes over forwards and touches down outside the ring. Now, at the same time, Ura has the knee. He's in a two legs crouching, probably sitting is a better term at the same time, but he looked like he was still on 2 feet, not touching, as Onosato goes down and touches the deck outside the ring. Gunbai goes to the Yokozuna Onosato. Immediately the Shimpans call a mono-e. They take a bit of time, they look at the replays, and as a result they call a Toronaoshi rematch. The chief Shimpan, and here's the translation, said that they both hit the ground at the same time. Now Ura looks upset. They go for the rematch. Ura goes in low, tries to get hold, but Onosato goes in and thrusts hard. Ura goes back, another good thrust, and out Ura goes Oshidashi. At least Onosato has the decency to look a little bit embarrassed at winning that by Oshidashi. Now look, I'm not 20/20 vision anymore, but I can safely say with the benefit of replay and slow motions, like the Shimpans have, they are connected to a Shimpan up in a replay room, that Ura had not hit the dohyo when Onosato put his hand down. Now it's very interesting what the chief Shimpan said. He did not mention anything about Ura being dead body, shinatai, or unrecoverable. He simply said that they touched down at the same time. Now that's a very important point, because if Ura was shinatai and they said even though he pulled him over, Ura was not in a good position to recover himself, you could probably understand. But the fact that they're calling it a touchdown simultaneously says that that was simply just not a good call. If they'd called it that way, look, you could probably understand, but he was not airborne. He was within the ring. He had 2 feet on the deck as Onisato hit down his hand. His bum was at least a good inch above the dirt. Now, Onisato was on the defensive, meaning he did not initiate the move, so his defensive hand hitting down does not come into play. Unfortunately, I think the Shimpan judges just got this call wrong. It doesn't help the perception that the JSA, the Sumo Association, is protecting the Yokozuna. Look, he's had a few pretty lucky calls, and I think I've said previously that in a close call, the Yokozuna will normally get it. But sometimes, and look, I don't often criticise judges. I'm not there. I'm not making the call. They are experienced far more than I ever will be. But this was just a cold, wrong call. Ura deserved that kimboshi, and when he watches it back, with justification, he should be angry. Given Onisato's Oyakata was one of the Shimpans tonight, that's probably not a good look either. Bad call. Ura got a bit screwed. So let's move on. Ozeki Kodazakura faced Wakamoto Haru. It's their 23rd meeting tonight. Kodazakura hold the lead 14-8. Pair have had some pretty good bouts previously. Wakamoto Haru winning most recently. It was a good touchy eye. Wakamoto Haru got a double inside belt grip. Kodazakura had a double body grip. And as Wakamoto Haru drove him to the bales, Kodazakura turned him over, Tsukinage. They tumble into the alley. The Gumbai goes to Kodazakura, but there's a mono-e. The judges get up. They call Kodazakura the win by Tsukinage, beltless arm throw. It's pretty clear. Wakamoto Haru's feet had already turned over. He was going down quite easily before Kodazakura went out. Ozeki, Ayanishiki, faced Ichi Yamamoto. They last faced in July when Ichi went thrusting at Ayanishiki, but we've seen lately thrusting on Ayanishiki doesn't necessarily do the job. It was a pretty good touchy eye as Ayanishiki goes in for the thrusting Nodowa. Ichi drives and thrusts hard and gets Ayanishiki going backwards. He can't quite get Purchase moving from chest thrust, trying to get hold of Ayanishiki's arms for that final push-out thrust. That was Ichi Yamamoto's best chance of getting that one. Ayanishiki pushes back, gets to the inside with a left inside belt as he drives low. Once he has the belt on Ichi Yamamoto in the low position that he's known for, he puts on the afterburners, drives Ichi Yamamoto back and over the bales. The skill level and adaptability of Ayanishiki is something, and it's something incredible for someone so new to sumo. It's amazing to watch. Anyway, on to Kirishima and Haku no Fuji. This was another one of the big matches of the night. Big touchy eye as Kirishima got a left body, but Haku no Fuji got a left belt. Haku no Fuji moves Kirishima around. Kirishima kept pivoting to stay in front of him, keep his position in a good spot. They held and they both tried throws and pivots as Kirishima got onto the belt. Haku no Fuji tried to turn Kirishima, but he just defended and pivoted, and that went on for a little bit. Haku no Fuji eventually tried a big belt pull and tried to drag Kirishima as they pivoted around each other. Haku no Fuji ended up with his back to the bales, but somehow he recovered and they locked up again. Now, Kirishima had himself a left inside belt. Haku no Fuji was on the right outside opposite him. Haku no Fuji tried a big drive. Kirishima was forced back. Now, Kirishima had the rear of Haku no Fuji's belt as he is leant backwards over the bales and he's falling with Haku no Fuji pushing him over. They both go over the bales. Looks all to be Haku no Fuji winning that one. Kirishima landed first, but the Shimpans, they immediately called a mono-e because Haku no Fuji got the Gumbai off the Gyoji, but the mono-e and the replay shows that Haku no Fuji's big toe just went over the bales into the dirt at the same time as Kirishima went down. Another Toraneoshi rematch. So up they came again. I must say, Haku no Fuji, he looked a bit gassed after that fight. It was a big, long fight. Took a lot out of him. There's a big touchy eye again as Kirishima got into the body, but Haku no Fuji drove hard. End up pretty much uncontrolled as Kirishima went back to the bale, stepped to the side, got out of Hakano Fuji's way as he went down. Gunbai to Kirishima, Tsukiotoshi thrust down. I think young Hakano Fuji just ran out of gas there. Took some effort out of both of them. Big thrusting match between Daisho and Takayasu as they traded blows for a fair while, and Takayasu got hold of Daisho's arms, twisted and pulled him down forwards around his body. Kaina Hineri, a double arm twisting pull down for Takayasu. Oho got beaten easily by Wakataka Kage, Yorikiri off the Tachi-Ai there. Atami Fuji, he escaped with a lateral movement into a Takikomi slapdown on Takanosho for the win. That finally gets Atami on the board. Onokatsu beat Tsurunomi with a pretty good belt battle Yorikiri win there. Hirodumi just blasted Tamawashi out Yorikiri over the Tachi-Ai. Oshoma and Shodai had a pretty good Oshi battle, but Oshoma just Oshi'd Shodai out. Didn't look like Shodai had much of a plan there. He missed a few grabs, tried for the belt and missed, and he kind of pretty much paid the price there. It was a fairly poor effort by Shodai. Fujinokawa pulled an excellent hit and shift and pull down on Kimbozan. Shishi, he used effective hits and deflections to get an Oshidashi on Tobizaru. Pretty good henker by Asakoryu over Ryuden to an Okuridashi rear push-out. Well, that's quite a night of sumo for day 3. As they say, the score is in the scorebook, so we can't change it, but gee, it leaves a bad taste when you see that sort of thing. For Ura, I feel a bit for him there. It's not the first time he's been screwed over. So, on to day 4. Join me again, folks. Hakioi, let's learn sumo.